Thank you, President. My question's for the Attorney-General. The Crime Statistics Agency... My question is for the Attorney-General. The Crime Statistics Agency has shown between 2012 and 2018 the number of women entering prison increased from 333 to 825, with a percentage increase in women entering prison on remand and a percentage decrease in women entering under sentence. In fact, the Criminal Justice Inquiry also heard that 70 to 90% of incarcerated women have experienced sexual abuse, family violence and trauma. Remand numbers post the 2018 Bail Act changes have worsened still, showing that the bail reforms predicated on protecting women are actually working against many. So my question to the Attorney-General is, will she reform the bail laws to reduce the number of women in prison?
Attorney-General.
Thank you, President, and I thank Ms Patten for her question. It's a question that we've had some exploration in this chamber, and as we know, bail reform as a result of some some tragic incidences in this state to ensure that public safety was at the forefront of bail decisions was introduced, and we certainly do not make any apologies for ensuring that community safety is at the forefront of these decisions. It is a trend, an unwelcome trend of more women being incarcerated. I acknowledge a lot of these offences are at the lower end of offending, and it is important that we have programs, support, housing, counselling, etc., to ensure that we can assist women to avoid coming into contact with the justice system, and that is certainly a focus of ours. In relation to bail reform and the impact on women in particular, that's a matter that is brought to my attention regularly through CLCs, and the Aboriginal Justice Forum are just two that I have these conversations with, and I have given commitment to these organisations that I will continue to look at this issue. There is no announcement for me to make in relation to reform, but obviously I think, as I've said in this chamber on many times, the justice system is always in a reform in one way or the other, and so these are important issues that I continue to keep myself abreast of, but it is, as always, I think, similar to my responses in relation to children. Keeping people out of prison is certainly the number one objective, and I would note that there are fewer women in prison right now than there was this time last year. I think it's a reduction of about 20%, but we are seeing some trends in particular cohorts that we need to understand why, and we need to continue to address those underlying causes of crime in the first instance, as well as keeping abreast and talking to people about future reforms of the system.
Ms Patten, on a supplementary.
Thank you, President, and thank you for your response, Minister. And you're absolutely right. There's, community safety is at the forefront, but when you are sending women to jail, quite often because they don't have a home to live in, I think we may have got the balance. We may have got the balance wrong, and in fact, we're putting those. Ironically, those women come out of prison probably in more dangerous predicaments than they were when they entered into the prisons. So we've seen, and you mentioned counselling, you mentioned housing in your substantive answer. So I'm just wondering if you can provide more information, if we're not no changes to the bail reform, but changes to procedures that may keep women out of jail, or may enable more women to get bail.
Attorney-General.
I thank Ms Patten for her question and ongoing interest in these important matters. I would take issue with the fact that women aren't in prison just because they don't have a home. That would be a very unfortunate state of affairs, and I will certainly take action to remedy that. But in relation to remand, it is there is too many women on remand. I completely agree with that. In relation to all of the services and programs, it's a very broad question because it crosses multiple portfolios, but we have a WICSAC, Women, which Juliana Addison chairs, which is all about looking at issues that contribute to why women might get caught up in the justice system, how they can avoid being incarcerated, and the services, including the ones that I referred to. So perhaps if you're interested, we could get you a little bit more information coming out of that committee, because that is all focused on ensuring that the women's outcomes are better through corrections and justice.
Mr Symes on the Minister's statement.
Thank you, President, and I would like to update the House on the fantastic opening of the new Ballarat Drug Court. Talking of Juliana Addison, I've joined her recently as part of a $35 million expansion of the program to bring drug courts to regional communities, with courts now operating in Ballarat and Shepparton. The courts provide regional Victorians covering from drug and alcohol dependencies, specialised court services and support, which is obviously closer to home. I know how important this can be for regional communities in particular. The program's participants participate on drug and alcohol treatment orders. They must undertake alcohol and drug counselling, comply with drug testing, and regularly attend court review hearings, case management and clinical advisor appointments to ensure that they stay on track. The program is far from easy. It's nothing short of life-changing. I was so impressed with a recent graduate of the program that attended the opening and spoke about his experience. The young man not only turned his life around, but he now works with youth who have dependency issues. It's humbling to hear about the real personal difference that the program can make. We're investing in drug courts because we know they work, by addressing underlying factors that contribute to offending and supporting people to reduce alcohol and drug use instead of just punishing them. They are more likely to get their lives back on track and less likely to reoffend. This is backed up by early evaluations of the drug court, which showed a 70% reduction in prison time, a 32% reduction in unemployment rates and a 23% reduction in reoffending rates within the first 12 months of completing the program. We've also recently opened the drug and alcohol treatment court at the county court, with further expansions of the drug court to be informed by the evaluations of the existing and new sites, as well as consultation with communities and key stakeholders. But right now, I'm just so glad that these regional courts are up and running and supporting people in these communities.